freezing cold. And you'll think, oh, it's okay, I'm going to warm up. You need to make sure you've got the adequate clothing when you're running and doing your training as well. Another thing you want to do as well is as soon as you know the date of the event that you're doing, try and register. Because some events have a number limit and some sell out very, very quickly. So don't train for something and then at the 3-month mark say, okay, today I'm going to register. Because you may have trained for something that's now full and you go onto a waiting list. And often you don't know until the week before whether or not that waiting list is available for you to actually get on into the race, because people have to normally drop out of the race for you to get into that race. So as soon as you're committed to a date, make sure that you go on to doing that date. So do look at that. Look at the dates. And again, don't feel pressure to do one that's too soon. If you think that, oh, well, there's one coming up in April, but you really don't feel ready until July, then find one in July. So think about that. Think about what's available to you and think about your training that you need to put in and just get that support. If you're bored, stiff, running on your own, then find a group to run with or find a neighbour to run with or even put a note out, on social media and say, of somebody that is local to you and say, hey, I'm going to run at this time. Ask your friends if they want to do something as well. I think you don't have to run on your own if you don't want to. You can actually run with a group or run with another individual. Again, it comes back to accountability as well. So though you've registered for the event, you still want to make sure that you're going to show up and train for the event. No one wants to show up on race day and not be feeling good for the day. I, for one, love race day the same way I loved competition day. When the day came that was in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, the day's here. Okay, now you've got to focus. You've trained for this. You're ready. Now, when I did competitions, my dad used to say to me, Sarah, this is your Olympics. This is what you've trained for years, but you didn't really know you've trained for it. And I think that he was right, because although I trained really hard in the gyms and didn't do competitions, it was down to my own job responsibility and my own influence I wanted to have helping people. For me, I still knew that he was sort of right. It was my Olympics. It felt like I was ready for it. I trained for it, and it was my day to kind of bring it home. And then you think about marathon training as well. Nothing is as motivated as being somewhere on race day. Like if you have done marathons and you're listening to this and you're thinking about how it is at the start line, how it is when people are lining up and getting ready, even afterwards when you've got people coming in, the enthusiasm in the crowd is unbelievable. So think about that marathon training and how you want to be putting all of that together. So one thing that I've been doing this year, a bit more than I've ever done, and I love it, is that I've been speaking at different events. And that's been part of my goals. I mean, I do help people with their goal setting, but I have my own things that I'd like to do as well. And one thing that I've been doing this year is I've been speaking at different events that I love to do. Again, I want to go back into a little bit, before I talk about my speaking, talk a bit about why I feel so confident in things that I'm being able to do on stage, whether it's competitions, whether it's speaking. From a very young child, easily before I started school, it was instilled in me from a very, very young age about how I could just about achieve anything. And my parents put it into me that anything that I would set my mind to, then I could do. And why couldn't I do that? So I had a really, really great influence from the beginning, which I know a lot of people haven't. A lot of people haven't had those supportive parents from the beginning. So they've had to kind of fix themselves through life, and they've had doubt and self-doubt. But because I wasn't raised that way to doubt anything, it was always, okay, go for it. What do you think? Okay, yeah, try that, Sarah. I was always given that urge to try something and succeed at it. And I wasn't really told that it couldn't really go any wrong. Even if it didn't go 100%, and say I came back and it was 70%, my mum and dad would still find a success in that 70% that I'd achieved in something, because they were really glad that I'd achieved something. So when I was 11 years old, I went to a different school that was in my catchment area. And where I was raised in a very poor area. And the school that I went to was in a well-off area. So I got to see from the age of 11 to 16 a very, very different type of lifestyle, a different type of life, and a different way. And that, for one, really, really motivated me to be driven as an adult. As a teenager looking in different situations, I never felt out of place in those situations because I had to ride my bike for 45 minutes every day to get to that other school. I didn't used to think, 45 minutes on the bike. I mean, I did if it was raining, because I've never loved the rain, but I wouldn't think, 45 minutes on this bike. All I would think is I had a gratitude for being there. I felt lucky to be in that environment. I met amazing friends. I met parents of the friends. My teachers were good for me. It was just amazing. So for me, I know that that 5-year span between 11 and 16 really, really changed how I felt about things. So when I actually came to going, I guess, into real life when I was 16, I was very confident in different areas that I know a lot of women and men were not confident in. So when it came to being on stage and doing competitions, I felt confident going out because here I have my dad saying, hey, this is your Olympics, you've got this. And I've got my friends saying, oh, you're so fit and you've done really well, you've been focused, dedicated, you've got this. So it doesn't mean you never have any self-doubt about anything. It is not being too full of yourself or too arrogant. But when you've trained for something and you've focused on something and you've set realistic personal goals, I think you can achieve anything. And that goes on to me now doing public speaking. Over the years, I've had a lot of things to say. I think I'm quite direct, but I think I'm kind at the same time. So there's never a thing where you have to say to me, oh, Sarah, I wish you told me that at the time. Like, you will always get my answer on what it is today. You will never have to ask me in a year's time, Sarah, I asked you that at the time and you gave me this answer, but why didn't you say that? And then me say, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings, or, oh, I didn't know if I should say that. But I always give you the truth of things. And that's really, really helped me on stage, being authentic and talking about my story. And one of the keynote speeches that I do talks about, it's actually called How Mindset, Self-Care and Ambition Can Help You Create a Life That You Love. And given that this is the name of my show, Create a Life You Love, it just seems appropriate to be able to do that and help people create a life you love through the self-care, through being ambitious, and through everything that you want to achieve. So I talk about that. I talk to people about how they can put their days together. I talk about nutrition. I talk about how the workout should be. I talk about volunteering. I talk about planning their life and everything that they want to do. I talk about on stage, and I absolutely feel as though I engage the audience because they're listening and they're learning. And because I'm in my 40s now, I do believe that as I'm older, people are listening to me more. And I'm so open afterwards. People come and ask me questions afterwards, and I'm always available to talk to them and answer things or help them. I actually presented at a retreat recently, about a month ago, and it was beautiful. It was in beautiful Florida, and it was gorgeous. And the presentation I did talked about different things, including leadership, including lots of different things where people can help bring themselves forward. And I was the fitness and focus mentor for 2018. So it felt like I had to just encourage people to be able to focus on their things coming up in the new year. And when I looked around the room at the attendees, not one person was distracted on their cell phone. And for me, that was a big win, because I thought, oh my goodness, I am getting everyone's full attention on what I'm saying. I hope I'm helping. So I don't stand there and go, oh good, everyone's watching me and this is what I'm doing. I think, great, they're taking it in, they're listening. I hope that this is helping. And that's what I really, really hope that I'm able to do each time that I'm speaking. So I have been able to speak a few times this year and present at different things, and it's been great for me. I've loved it. I don't get nervous going up onto stage. As soon as they say my name and I see my PowerPoint on the screen, I am ready to go, because I believe that my message is something that will help people. And I've spent my whole life helping people, and it feels like the right thing to do. It feels like it's the purpose of what I'm supposed to do as well. It doesn't feel like it's just a job or I'm just going to go and do this. It feels like I really want to help people excel and get to the next level, whatever that means to them. Also this year, I co-authored some books, which is something I'd thought about for a long time. And this year, it became a reality. And the 3 books that I had come out this year are all bestsellers. I'm going to tell you about these books next, and what they mean to me, what the story means to me as well, and why they're important for me to have out published. I'm going to be doing 5 co-authored books first, just so you can get familiar with me as an author. And then my 6th book is going to be my own book. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to write about yet, but I will know when the time is right to put that out there. So my first book that came out this year that I co-authored was called Women Rising. And the story was about my childhood and where I grew up and how my parents motivated me and how I came through everything to adulthood based on my childhood, things I was exposed to, and the great things that I could see from that time and how that helped me be ambitious. So that was a wonderful story to share with people. I was really happy to have a bit more about me out there. The next book that I had come out, so that was in May, Then in July of this year, I had another book come out that's called Live Out Loud. So I thought about, what does live out loud mean to me? And again, it's based on the freedom that I had as a younger person to be able to really speak my mind about things and be out there and meet people and do things. So the story that I wrote about in Live Out Loud was starting and finishing the story together. And that talks about the 47-year journey of my mum and dad, who both passed away in the same month. So my dad passed away 2 weeks after my mum's funeral, unexpectedly. And so big shock for our family. And it was also a big shock that my mum passed away from breast cancer within 4 months of being diagnosed. So within that year, it had already been a shocking time for us. But then for them both to be gone within that month for me was a big life-changing event for me. So part of my story, although it's a very sad story that you say, oh my goodness, her parents died at the same time. They really did, but they left me with such a motivated legacy that I move forward with every day. So although I'm not saying that there's an upside to anybody leaving us, but I also think about how would they want me to be on the other side? Would they want me to be laying in bed sad and hanging around and not accomplishing things and not being a good influence on my children? What would they want me to be? They would want me to be motivated and driven and to do well and smile and to share. And I know if I saw my dad today and I was miserable and I hadn't done anything in the last 7 years, he would say, is this what I told you could do? I took you so far and this is where you need to go. So when they passed away, I thought, oh my goodness, they've been taken away from me. But someone told me on that day, on the day of my dad's funeral, Sarah, you've had them for 36 years. Some parents don't last that long. Some kids that don't have, the parents in their life for that long. 36 years of influence. Now, what are you going to do with that? So I was so happy to hear that from one of their friends, because it's right. I did have them for that time. So that's why that second book was called Starting and Finishing the Story Together. It talks about their story. It talks about how I fit into their story and what I'm doing now that they've gone. So then my next book, which was released in November, was called Born to Be Me. So I thought about that and thought, okay, what am I born to be? So this story is called Running on All Engines, Determination, Discipline, and dedication. So dedication, determination, and discipline. And how it's called the 3 Ds. So how those 3 Ds work for me in life and how they are exactly what has helped me get where I want to be. So within that story, Running on All Engines, it talks about my fitness career and it talks about my marathons and it talks about my ambition based on those words and how people have compared them to selfishness, arrogance, and being too full of yourself, when really to be dedicated to something, I think gives success, to be disciplined in something gives success, and also to be determined gives success. So that's that. That's the one we've got there. So my next book that's coming out in May of 2018 is Rebel Rising. And my story will be, although I'm not a rebel in my personality, will be how my yes could likely be someone else's no. Because a lot of the time I will not follow the grain of things. I will do exactly what I think that I should be doing, for the good, of course, but that's what Rebel Rising. I'm going to be writing that story here in the new year, taking some time with that and having that released in May. So that's what I want to go through today. I hope this has been a helpful show for you today to know a bit more about how I look at goal planning, how I hope that you can look at that over the next few weeks as you put everything together. I'm available for group training and one-on-one training if you want to be talking to me about working with me. You can go onto my website, sarahshakespeare.com, and you can email me and we can talk about anything over Messenger, over the phone at sarah@sarahshakespeare.com. And if you can just put green tea as the headline on your email, I will know that you want to talk to me about a green tea power talk. And we can go over anything that's going to help you find clarity in putting your goals together, what I can help you with. I'm also going to be starting retreats next year in BC. So really excited to put those retreats together. They're going to be 1 day and 3 day retreats. So I'll be sharing more about that with you over the next few weeks. And also my shows will now be on each week. Some weeks it's going to be me talking and some weeks it's going to be with the guests that I have coming up. So thank you so much. It's been an amazing, amazing end to the year. I really wish you a happy new year and I look forward to hearing from you.